Worst excuses for cheating on paternity court.
Because you all had an argument about you stripping and you hung up. Seen each other and had sex, or just seen each other and said hello?
Unprotected sex sometimes, yes ma'am.
You're saying the last time you were really intimate was around in March.
Or whatever, but
It was
because of the
supposed
fact
it was
that
already won for someone
because
else.
of the fact that another lady things or whatever,
Okay,
but
so
it
why
was
would you
because
say you bought something
her
you
baby
never
never
bought?
won.
This next photo is a picture we can't even show.
In this case, a veteran came to court with paternity doubts after his wife opted for an odd job and admitted infidelity.
Of divorce. You state that while you were out of the country serving in the military, your wife paraded around town with other men, and she has admitted to cheating multiple times. You claim you are not sure if you are the father of her third child, 18-month-old Liliana.
But Mrs. Threlkeld had her reasons to go exotic dancing, and the indifference little Liliana was getting by Mr. Threlkeld was totally unjustified.
You say you began exotic dancing to make extra money because Mr. Threlkeld's military salary was inadequate to live on, and that led to a few indiscretion. You argue that Mr. Threlkeld treats your daughter Liliana differently than your other children and are hoping today's DNA results will settle the matter once and for all.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Judge Lauren asked the Army man how he found out about his wife's stray cats, and he explained it like this.
I was overseas in Afghanistan, and I was at up in the Northeast, and a soldier of mine came up to me and tapped me on the boot, said, "Hey, I need to go outside. We need to talk right now." So earlier on in the day, me and him got into some words, so I thought we were gonna, settle it. Well, it turns out his wife, my wife, were friends, and she had found out that she was actually stripping as we spoke.
However, Mrs. Threlkeld jumped midway into the conversation with her own explanation of why she did what she did.
There are expenses when you have kids. The money that was coming in, let's just be real, it wasn't enough to support the kids. And on top of that,
wasn't enough to support the kids. How? Because I'm gonna keep it real, $5,000 a month.
Still, this revelation was not the baffling part, as the full-fledged affair still had to be discovered, which Mr. Threlkeld did when he got back home after the most cold-hearted welcome.
The day I was supposed to come back home from overseas, we were told before we even got on the plane at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, that there's gonna be the color guard, the motorcycles that drive, in front, the news was gonna be there. I get there, and not my father, my mother, my wife, like I said, we'll quote that, weren't even there. We get there, clapping and cheering, they come to my name, and it's just dead quiet. No one was there.
With all of this going on, why was Mrs. Threlkeld still insisting that her 18-month-old daughter was Mr. Threlkeld's? Well, this is why.
the bottom line, Your Honor, is I had to support my children. There are things you need to do regardless, and I knew he wasn't gonna get a job when he came back.
You asked why we're here for paternity court. Within 3 weeks of us being home, she was pregnant. So, I don't know if it was my devious, messed up head that got her pregnant.
Even though getting his wife pregnant was the plan all along, Mr. Threlkeld was not over the fact that his wife just wanted out of his life so she could work as an escort. Hence, he needed the paternity test.
Even if it's not mine. No, the one I'm going to take it out on isn't her. It's the one in the pink shirt.
You're
so
the one
congratulations.
You take it out on me every single day.
Let's be clear here. There's not
You just need to get over it.
There's one baby in question as it relates to the paternity, but you all still have 2 additional children together. You're a family.
So, after the whole accusation charade, the result showed this.
1-year-old Liliana, Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father. Ms. Threlkeld, it seems like you became instantly emotional. Is that relief or is that
Yes, Your Honor, it's
joy
really,
or both?
it's all together. I'm happy because I know she's his, so I would like to work on everything.
The next case is infidelity against infidelity. The proceedings began with Mr. Dark telling the court how he was willing to look past Miss Bailey's affair until this happened.
What happened to your relationship with Miss Bailey at that point?
I tried to work past it, again, because of the things that we had already discussed of us being a family and us, hopefully us getting married or whatever the case may be. But I tried to work it past for about approximately a year or so, but I just couldn't take it. I couldn't.
But this statement, which I couldn't deal with, perplexed Judge Lauren, because despite their breakup, they managed to have a baby, about which Mr. Dark went on like this.
We still occasionally seen each other every, like 2, 3, maybe every 2 months, 3 months or so.
What's dealt with each other mean?
We still seen each other occasionally.
Seen each other and had sex, or
Yes,
just
ma'am.
seen each other
Still
and
was
said
having
hello?
unprotected sex sometimes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you kept having sex until
2016.
It was like early March.
So, Judge Lauren implored that if the couple was together, why was there confusion over the paternity of Jameer?
You're saying the last time you were really intimate was around in March?
Yes.
If Jameer's birth date is November 13, 2016, then that means the conception window would be February 17th to February 24th, 2016.
Right.
You said
But I
you
had-
all weren't intimate until March.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Miss Bailey, on the other hand, became emotional over her ex's claim and sobbed while telling her side of the story.
Have you been in a paternity
No,
situation before?
I have with my ex.
You have?
Yes.
With your ex. So one of your other children, there was a paternity question surrounding that.
Yes.
And you got it resolved? It was determined?
That he wasn't.
And if you are thinking all of this is out of hand, then watch what happens next.
My name is Yana Bradley.
You are what relationship to Mr. Dark?
I'm his current girlfriend and I'm pregnant with his
Oh, now
child.
he's-
What would you like to tell the court?
In my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him. That's just my personal opinion.
So you do not feel like there is a physical resemblance?
No.
After this, we saw Jessica confessing the fact that she does not want Jameer to grow up without a father like her.
You did
and
not
stuff.
buy him nothing.
And I took him to her or whatever, but
It was
because of the
clothes
fact
that was already worn for someone
because of the
else.
fact that another lady had gave me these things or whatever,
Okay,
but
so
it
why
was
would you
because
say you bought something
her
you
baby
never
never
bought
won.
that
They
to?
were
Well, let me
brand new.
be clear. He will be buying him things and
That's
paying
fine.
child support because you put your name on that birth certificate.
Listening to both sides, Judge Laura gave Mr. Dark a piece of her mind over taking paternity for granted like this.
But it's also about empowering and informing people about what they need to do in situations like this, because this is not some momentary thing. Got another one on the way. I'm ready for the result.
But now, it was time for the DNA result.
Dark versus Bailey. When it comes to 11-month-old Jameer, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
I told you that he was yours.
Your word ain't, man.
Number 3. Who knew that daddy issues could lead your partner into someone else's arms? And that is why Mr. White and Mrs. White were facing each other in this episode of Paternity Court.
You've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated in the past, but hope once the results are revealed, your husband will trust you again. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge started with Mr. White and asked him why he was looking for a divorce.
I just can't be with somebody that's gonna constantly cheat on me and have me raise somebody else's child. Savannah has the right to know, and I have the right to know.
And you love this little girl.
Yes, I love her to death.
3 years.
3 years.
And so she looks to you, you're her father, you're her daddy.
Yep, just the other day she was at my mother's and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Dad?"
Judge Lauren turned to Mrs. White for an explanation after learning that she had cheated on her husband within the first week of their marriage, while Mrs. White had only one explanation for her infidelity.
Yes, but I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I mean I'm not trying to like make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong, but I just want him to like show me love and affection and be there for me and like hold my hand in public and just be there.
After it, Mr. White was asked how he found out his wife was fooling around.
These are text messages you've presented, Mr. White.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White says, my body's naked, wishing you was in this bed with me. The ex-boyfriend texts back, LOL, you are crazy, about to call you in a minute. Your wife says, LMAO, could you do that for me? Ms. White, why are you so quiet? Why are you texting your ex-boyfriend these things?
Even though Savannah's mother insisted that Mr. White was to blame, the alleged father refused to be portrayed as the bad guy.
Mr. White, please tell me that this is the only evidence you have. You just have these text messages?
No, I have pictures of her sexting people.
I'm afraid to look, Jerome. So this says, Happy Valentine's Day. How did you find out about this, Mr. White?
When on Valentine's Day, when I found the text message, I took the entire phone, and I still have possession of the phone.
When the judge asked Kayla White why she didn't just leave instead of cheating, Her response was this.
Well, I called the court just so I can get the result of the kids in Savannah and just move on with our life, and no more cheating, no more nothing, just us taking care of the kids.
You want to save your marriage.
Yes, Your Honor. I should have done it a long time ago, but things happened. I made mistakes. I just want to fix it. So this is what we need.
After listening to the couple's matrimonial roller coaster, Judge Lauren announced the result.
When it comes to 3-year-old Savannah White, it has been determined by this court. Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
How do you feel, Ms. White?
Relieved, because he's a great dad and I want him to be all of my children's father.
In this episode, Mrs. Van Meter, the plaintiff, is fighting for her baby's paternity after cheating on Mr. Watkins in the most heinous way.
Ms. Van Meter, after a recent medical scare, you realized it is imperative that you prove to the defendant that he is the biological father of your 3-year-old son, DeCedric, so you can put his name on the birth certificate. You are hopeful today's result will help save your family.
After learning about the cheating, Judge Lauren asked Mr. Watkins how their relationship had been after the revelation of the disloyalty of his partner.
Play father to her other child that doesn't have a father in her life, so
Okay.
I'm taking care of the whole crew.
And I understand that and I respect that. But it's just like, he makes me feel like it's a financial thing of why he has stayed. And it's not, because we're going to be okay. And I mean, I think he can still father my child even if he's outside of the house.
After hearing Mr. Watkins, the judge wanted to get to the nitty-gritty details of what actually happened.
All right, how did you find out she was cheating?
I saw her on the couch texting, but I could clearly see what she's doing. She's texting and deleting messages. She's like, oh, I was just talking to my friend. What you deleting messages for? Then she pretty much was arguing about it, the fact of what she was saying, and I was like, you wasn't saying that because you deleted them. So I left, just cool down, because I don't like sticking around arguing about nothing.
And when Miss Van Meter was asked why she went to the length of sleeping with another man, this was her response.
Are you in the car with the guy you were texting?
Yeah, but it was because he was leaving and I was telling him bye at first.
So
He came on to me and it just ended up happening. It's not like it was intentional. He was just somebody.
Oh, so you
to.
did have sex with this guy you were texting and deleting messages with?
Yes.
So you admit that?
Yes.
So you had sex in front of the house, in a car?
Yes.
And your family was inside the house?
Yeah.
Though Miss Van Meter tried to convince the judge that the whole cheating part meant nothing, everyone in the courtroom refused to believe.
You had never been intimate with that
No.
person in the past?
No. Me and him.
So the first time you ever had sex with that person was in the car?
Yeah.
I thought Mr. Watkins just testified that this was the person that used to date previously.
It didn't date him. When I talked to him, it was just talking. I never done nothing. We kissed and that was all we did. It was before I met him and I chose not to proceed with the other.
So this led to the big question of the conception window.
I never done nothing. We kissed and that was all we did. It was before I met him. And then I met him and I chose not to proceed with the other guy.
Okay, so but even with the kiss, see, these are the little details that add up to the drama. Because when you said to him, it's just a friend, I'm just texting and you texting and deleting message, he knew there was smoke.
As the trial proceeded, the judge asked Watkins about the baby boy, and he said this.
I just see him as just cute kid. He's cute and he's awesome. And we play fight all the time. Sometimes he don't know when to stop. So I'm like, man, all right.
Oh, Mr. Watkins, when you look at, do you see the other guy in
Yeah.
him?
Mrs. Van Meter interpreted the defendant's statement by saying that DeCedar looked just like Mr. Watkins.
He looks nothing like the other person. He looks like him.
But I have another daughter that's mine that when
If you had a
she
kid that makes
when
you
she
fertile.
went and did what she did, like all of a sudden she's screaming she's pregnant. And then when we go, the lady to tell her how many months she is, they read back to where she got pregnant.
Miss Van Meter even confessed to the courtroom that she manipulated Mr. Watkins into staying.
2 possible biological fathers for your child.
Yes.
So his doubt is real.
Yes.
So this story you go to all the time of he just stayed and he can go because we gonna be all right, and everything you go through, all that stuff is ancillary. Because the truth is there's real paternity doubt here. But you're saying that you wanted him to be your child's biological father.
Yeah.
So, after the entire trial, Judge Lauren had figured out what Miss Van Meter had been cooking all along, and it was now time for the verdict.
When it comes to 3-year-old DeCedric Watkins, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Watkins, you are the father.
That's my boy right there.
In this episode, Mr. Muhammad has come to the court as he does not want another man to raise his child.
Muhammad, you are here to prove that you are the father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn. You claim the only reason she is denying paternity is because she wants to be in a relationship with the other man. Is that correct?
Yes, Sean.
But his ex believed that Mr. Muhammad was not the father because she was cheating on him the whole time.
And you say it's not his baby.
Yes, ma'am. I say that because during my conception date, I was having more sexual intercourse with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
And you were having sex with this other guy behind his back. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
After this revelation, Miss Walton told the court that Mr. Muhammad was no angel, and he also cheated on her.
Anwar was already having an affair with another woman before he had moved in with me. And during that time, while he was having his affair, I was having my affair also.
Mr. Muhammad told the court that his ex was just making fake stories because she wanted him out of the story.
She told me that this gentleman was her cousin. I didn't think nothing of it.
She told you the other guy was her cousin?
Was her cousin.
That's not true, Your Honor. He's always known this guy.
I know. That's the other man that she wanted to be with.
So you're saying you were in a relationship?
In a relationship.
And you're saying you were not in a relationship when Brooklyn was conceived?
No, we was not in a relationship. We were just living together.
But instead of those juicy details, Judge Lauren was more focused on the issue of conception.
The moment I thought that I was pregnant, I texted the guy and I tell him I missed my period. Mr. Muhammad, during that time, who was living with me, got my phone, looked at the text message, and confronted me.
Ain't wrong. That's wrong, Your Honor. What happened was I came home, she sleep, I looked at her phone, I started seeing a full-fledged text message about having sex.
Judge even asked Mr. Muhammad how did he find out about Miss Walton's infidelity, and he said this.
So she started to act funny, started to be rebellious, and started to do funny things. So that drove red flags to me. I grabbed the phone, I started looking at the text message, I see the conversation between her and the gentleman. I confront her about
What did the conversation say?
basically saying that we having sex, period. Sending pictures back and forth with each other, they sending body part pictures, all that stuff.
After listening to the whole story, the reality TV judge landed on the possibility that there was a 50-50 chance of paternity. But the baby mama believed otherwise.
You were having sex around the window of conception with both men?
Yes.
This is 50-50 no matter how we slice?
Right.
Did you tell the other man, I'm pregnant and this could be your baby?
Yes, I told him.
What was his response?
His response was he wanted a paternity test once the baby was born. But he ended up leaving.
A paternity test, not a fraternity test.
Yeah, paternity test.
No,
paternity, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Still, Lauren could not add up why Miss Walton was saying all of this. Until she confessed herself.
You've decided that this other man is going to take care of Brooklyn better than Mr. Muhammad.
Yes.
Never that, never. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. I'm a
So do you want to be with this other man too?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now it makes sense.
Now,
So, the episode concluded with the fact that Miss Walton wanted a rich married man instead of a hardworking partner. Still, the DNA had to be shown to end the confusion.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Muhammad, you are the father.
yes. I told you. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about, baby. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about.
Right now, you have 2 children together. Let's stop making this a fight. Do you understand?
Yes.